Hello again. Welcome back. Since I've moved into my new room, I've not only been trying to learn all its foibles, etc., but I've kind of begun to realise that I'd like to get back to a little bit more of an organic way of mixing, get back to some organic sounds, and what I was talking to you about, and if you watched my last video about when I was setting up in here, my thoughts on using the garage as a reverb chamber. I've also got the basement, which carries on down the stairs there, which can be used, which might be interesting, with some mics down at the bottom there with the speaker up at the top. You know, who knows? I'm going to experiment a little bit, and don't worry, I'll take you on the journey of those experimentations. But to start things off, I was given a few weeks ago an old cheap H&H guitar amplifier from the 80s, which doesn't sound great, but one thing it did have stuck inside of it was a spring reverb. So what I've done, and it was my original idea when I heard this thing, I thought, right, if I rip out the reverb tank or the spring tank and connect it up to my setup here, I can have my own spring reverb. I mean, I've been using 2 or 3 different spring reverb plugins by various manufacturers, and I've never quite been happy with it. But this, it's the cheapest chips spring reverb tank. It's only had 2 springs, and you know, it's nothing special, but I'm getting quite pleased with the results I'm achieving. So what I'll do is I'll bring you down. It's going to get a bit bumpy and whatnot, and I'll show you how I've got this connected up, and then we can have a listen to how it sounds. So let's just bring you down here. So what I've done is there's the reverb tank here. So this has got the spring inside of it. Now I'm using a really cheap Behringer headphone amplifier kit that originally, when I brought this home, I thought I'll just pull it out the amp and connect the preamp from the Focusrite into the spring, and then, you know, out and back into the preamp on the Focusrite. But hey, it needs a little bit more than that. So what I'm doing is I'm going from the output here of my output number 3 on the Focusrite is going into the headphone amp. So then I'm boosting it in the headphone amp and sending it into the spring. Then from the spring it's coming out and it's going into this mixing board, that cheap Behringer thing again, which is then just being used to boost the signal and send it out via the aux out here, which is then getting sent into channel 3. Can you see that? Channel 3 here, which goes into the Focusrite, which is on the back of the Focusrite. So, you know, I'm using two kind of stages of boosting the signal. One via this headphone amp going into the spring, and one via the mixer board coming out of the spring, to give me enough signal to make it viable, and it seems to work. It does the trick. So let me pop you back up here. Turn you around so I can see what's going on. So there we are, we're back. So I mean, let's have a little listen. So what we've got going on at the moment, let me solo out my microphone so that I don't disappear. In fact, what we'll do is I'll pull it down. I'm just going to let you hear some vocals. This is another one of these tracks from Cambridge MT website. So here we are. So if we have a listen to the vocal clean, I've muted out all of the other return effects that I usually have on. So we're just going to hear the vocal dry.
Nevermore Will I fall for anything but the guilt inside of me?
Okay, so now let's bring in the spring reverb and hear what that does. So if we just play this.
Nevermore will I fall for anything but the guilt inside of me. I won't beg, I won't crawl, time after time. Burning bridges, fire in my soul. Burning bridges, forget about control.
Okay, so you can hear that nice spring reverb going on there. And then just to take it one stage further, what I'm doing is that the original spring reverb channel there is getting sent out via the return effects send. But then I'm also sending it to this, I'm calling it stereo wide spring. And what I'm doing here is I've got the waves doubler on here, as you would do with a vocal if you're wanting to add some width to a vocal, knocking out the direct signal, adding in some width. EQ is doing nothing, but then I'm sending it to the A1 stereo control. This is a free plug-in here, and I'm widening it quite a bit. So if we just listen to that now.
Nevermore will I fall for anything but the guilt inside of me. I won't beg, I won't crawl, time after time.
I messed up the plug-in compensation there, but if we have a quick look at that, what I've got on my spring reverb, the send channel here that I'm sending into that is controlling the spring reverb, I've got re-EQ and I'm cutting highs and lows. Then I've got re-insert next to that, and I'm sending out via line 3, which is line 3 here on my plug-in matrix there, and then I'm coming back in on line 3, input 3 of my sound card. And you can see here you got a ping detect, which is always useful to do. So if you do a ping detect, Reaper will detect the delay compensation that it needs to use, and then you're all good to go. So we give it a listen.
Nevermore
Everything's in time.
will I fall for anything but the guilt inside of me. I won't beg, I won't
just the
crawl, time out.
And then if we add the widening in, which is this
Nevermore will I fall for anything but the guilt inside of me.
okay, so we give you a quick blast within the mix and see what you think.
Nevermore.
Let's bring in the spring reverb. Before I say anything more, I'm making this very obvious because it can get quite subtle. So let's just have a listen to it, really obvious, and I'll mute the spring reverb out so you can hear the difference when it's not there.
Nevermore will I fall for anything but the guilt inside of me. I won't beg, I won't crawl, time after time. Burning bridges, fire in my soul. Burning bridges, forget about control. On those switches, I am the only.
So it's a really cool way. You can add your own reverbs. You know, you can make your own spring reverbs if you want. You know, it's just basically a couple of guitar pickups and a spring in between if you want to do it yourself. So just another way of thinking, another idea. Think outside the box, folks. I'm going to try some different stuff with my little homemade reverb chamber in here. Once I get it cleared out a little bit, it's totally full of shit at the moment, but we'll get there. And there will be more on the JS effects. I haven't forgot about the JS MIDI stuff. I will be getting to it. But as you know, if you've seen the last video, I've been busting my ass getting this room set up, and I'm still not there, but I'm at a usable stage. So I hope this was useful. I hope you found it fun, and I hope you try some of this kind of stuff yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, thumbs up, say hello, all that good stuff. Cheers, folks. Bye.